You don't become the authority by trying harder. You become one by being seen for what you already carry. That's right, for who you already are. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 40 books and counting. Over the course of the last 40 years in marketing, I've had the wonderful privilege of working with everything from startup companies, marketing companies, sales companies, multi-billionaires, stay-at-home moms, doctors, lawyers, nurses, people that you've heard of and people that you will probably never hear of. And I've had the advantage and the privilege of working with them. We've helped nearly 5,000 people become best-selling authors, and bestseller is only the beginning. Bestseller is your day one launch strategy to get your book the beginning of recognition and visibility. It is absolutely a tag. And you want to think about the concept of, how powerful is it to be the person who wrote the book on it? Okay. Even more powerful is how powerful is it to be the person who wrote the best-selling book on it, right? Those are really incredibly cool credentials, but they're credentials. It's kind of like, how cool is it for you to have your doctorate? Okay. You can graduate from medical school. You can graduate with a doctorate in philosophy. My dad graduated, had a doctorate in ministries. Took him literally, it was pretty well a lifelong project to get through all of the stuff, as well as all the working he did and stuff. But in the end, that doctorate is only as good as you use it. When you introduce yourself as Dr. You, then that powerful credential makes a difference. But it doesn't matter whether you are the world's leading, neurosurgeon, Dr. You, or, you have a PhD in underwater basket weaving, right? You're still a doctor. And when you introduce yourself as Dr. So-and-so, that automatically up-levels your credibility. Hi, Alicia. How you doing? Glad to have you here. Daniel, glad to have you here too. But it only works if you show it, if you share it, okay? It's not something that you can just claim. It's something that is revealed by how you use it and by your actions. You see, and we've all had people that we know. Alec. Okay, sorry about that. Hi, Alec. Glad to have you here with us. I really am. And Albin, glad that you're here as well. Here's the thing. If you don't say it, nobody else is going to come up to you and ask you. All right. If you are wearing a doctor's coat and a stethoscope around your neck, just out in a day-to-day walking around, the probability is that people are actually probably going to think you're dressed up for some kind of costume party. Their first thought, unfortunately, is not, there goes a doctor busy walking down the street in their, all their medical garb. Okay. The same thing is true if you're walking around with things that say or should say things, but aren't where the credibility lies. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know it's a little bit confusing, but you've got to use that, and you've got to use it in the places that it's meant to be used. So, for example, when you go into the doctor's office and the nurse takes all of your, your blood pressure and your temperature and those kind of things, and then says, okay, the doctor will be in a minute. And I'm assuming this is a brand new place that you've never been, or one you've been 1,000 times. And then the doctor comes in and says, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Okay, now, yes, Jesus is Lord, and I do believe that in all my heart. Thanks for that, Bennett. The doctor walks in and they say, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Or if you've seen them before, it's like, hi, Dr. So-and-so. Okay. And that's all the credibility we need, because they're showing up in the doctor's office. You see, they brought that credibility, that credential to the place that it needed to be brought to, and then used in the way that it needs to be used. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So then we come down to the concept of, well, what does that mean? You see, it's not about, all right, and I'm going to stick with this doctor example, okay? Because, and maybe we should actually ask the doctor, hey, where did you go to medical school? First time we're seeing them, at least. Maybe not every time, but, where did you go to medical school? How well did you do? What kind of grades did you get? Where did you do your internship? Where did you do your residency? Do you have a fellowship? Do you have a specialized, because if you're going to say, for example, a podiatrist or a urologist or a neurosurgeon or whatever, that's additional studies on top of the studies on top of the studies that they needed to do. But we just see that they, have that credential. We got in the phone book, and after all, probably on Google, we probably didn't actually use a phone book. After all, it said that this is a doctor, a pediatric specialist. And so we assume that they, did all their things, and then they did their PEDS fellowship, and they've got all of their things, and they, are legit. And we just do. Okay. Because they showed up in the place where you needed them to. When you're looking for doctors, they showed up in the Google or, whatever search you were using to find the one in your area as the person who is the specialist in the thing that you needed, or your regular general practitioner doctor that you go to see referred you over to them, right? Okay. So in either of those cases, they're showing up where they need to be. You see, that's what I mean by it's not claimed, it's revealed. If you just ran out into the middle of town square and you screamed at the top of your voice, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and I'm an expert at blah, blah, blah. Okay. And unfortunately, our town square is a town square. Our town square these days are places like Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Okay. And the people come in and they do like what I did when I started. And they say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm the blah, 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 and the blah, 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 and the blah, blah, blah. Okay. I tell you, I have 40 books. You could go and you could look right now, and you're going to find a couple of things. Number one, if you search under my name, you're not going to find a total of 40 books. Why? Because some of those are collabs. And some of them, they did the sharing properly of all the names of the people who were in there, and some of them didn't. And I also have 12 of the books now that I've written that are under a pen name that I have. So they're out there, and they did really great. But, when it comes to showing up on Amazon, that's where the credibility comes in. Not me saying it. Okay, now you can go back and you can look. If you went back on Facebook, you could see me blathering on probably my first post, and I don't know that they show anymore, but I think my first post was in like 2008 or something like that. If you really wanted to look up Alvius Internet Solutions, you can see that it was originally registered as a domain name in, don't quote me on this, but something like 1996. And I own, I'm pretty sure if you did the who is on that, you could see that the owner of it is either me or my company. Those are credibility checks, but it still is about showing up in the right place. So I can own Alvius, but I can tell you, if you go to alvius.com right now, there is no website there. It had been around for so many years because it was originally an internet service provider that we had to take it down because it had massive amounts of spam. It was like blowing up the server it was on because it was on everybody's spam list. Why? Because I used to own a domain name called spamme.com, because a lot of the stuff I learned in the early days of internet marketing was from spam messages, both what good to do as well as what not to do. It's all about being in the place that you need to be. So if you are an expert at social media, you should be showing your expertise on social media. If you if you are a if you're a public speaker, you should be on a stage somewhere public speaking. I love the phrase, and it's actually from the movie Tootsie. Was the first place I saw it anywhere. But I love the phrase, actors act always. That is what that is what it's all about, is being visible in the place that you can actually have visibility at, which in more than anything else is about being visible in the place where the people that you're meant to serve are. Not being louder, not being flashier. I mean, my good friend Molly Mahoney, one of her signatures is her sparkle pants. That's not because she's trying to be flashy. That's just totally Molly's personality. If you knew Molly and you saw her in sparkle pants, you'd be like, oh yeah, totally. Between the sparkle pants and the banana phone, that's Molly. Okay? And if you know Molly Mahoney, you absolutely know what I mean. And if you don't, you should get to know her. She's a cool person. Okay? But it's not the flash. It's not the fancy. It's not the, oh, look at me, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for 40 years. It's about showing up. It's about, even when people are saying what are kind of downright silly and or nasty things in the comments while you're going live, you're still going live because that's where your people are. Because I know that you want visibility. And I know the only way that you can really, truly be visible is to be visible. Now, I've said that sarcastically for a lot of months, but the truth is it's not just about being visible. It's not just about running around naked in the streets. It's about showing up with the answers in the place where the people that you're meant to serve are. Then they see you. And the more they see you and get to interact with you, that's why your book is so powerful. Is because you don't just, do a 20-second landing page or a hour-long sales pitch webinar, which is what most of them are, or any of that kind of thing. You just purely and simply give them information. You want your book to be powerfully informational. And whether it's 25 pages or it's 250 pages, content is king. You do want to take a point, make it really clear, and give them a clear action after that one point. And then when there is a second point, because there always is, that's book 2. So that we move them step by step by step by step. The people that we're really meant to serve in the place, and we're giving them, that creates the knowing of you, the trusting of you. Because when they trust you is when they're going to choose you. Just because you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in ads on Google, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Amazon, whatever, if you don't have the trust factor, you're just throwing your money away. You need the reviews of people saying, hey, I read this book and this is really something you want to read. You need to be visible in the places where you want to be. You need to be like Dawn, where you're like, yeah, I could spend all of my advertising money on all these things, but what I really want is my book to be in the hands of children. Well, then we've got to put the books where children are. Schools, children's hospitals, coffee shops where moms bring in their small children because it's early readers. Stuff like that. You got to show up and be where the people are. As you show up and they trust you and they choose you, then you get to create the movement, the change in this world that you were meant to make, that only you can make. And your book is going to be the most powerful way to make that happen. Just by showing up, just by giving first, with really no thought of what's in it for you. Write your book because I can tell you this, and I've said it for years. You could tell people every single solitary thing you know. Now I'm going to tell you, take everything you know and break it down to one thing. Okay, I'm going to say this to you again, authors. One thing, not the 10 things you must know, like my first 10 books ended up being. Wrote it as one book, had to re-release it as 10 books. One thing, take that one thing, make it really clear, and give them something that they can do. Give them really basically 2 actions. Action number 1, put the book down and just go do this thing. Okay? If it's about staying hydrated, pick up the bottle of water that's next to you that's nearly full. I don't know if you can see that line. And drink some of the water. Because the water is not by osmosis going to float through the lining of the bottle, through the air, through your skin, and absorb in. You got to drink it. Okay. You can even give them the step-by-step plans of how do you turn away from the computer, walk around out of your office, go to where the water is, the water cooler or the sink or the whatever, get out a glass, fill it up, drink one right there, and then take one back with you. You can give them that specific, because that's one thing. That's just the steps in how to do that one thing. And then also your second thing that you're going to tell them is, and here's the next thing we could do together. Once you get this hydration thing down really well, then the next thing we want to do is we want to get you more than just when you get up to go get water, up away from your desk, walking around and moving yourself. Just as an example. In whatever space you're in and whatever you do, you need that clarity. You need to be visible where your people are. And if you're ready, if you DM Amplify, I'll show you exactly what it takes to be visible. Exactly the authority engine that will put you in front of the people that are looking for the thing that you need to share with them. And we can do it. We could start literally today. There is still time. What would that mean? And I'm talking about in this particular case, if your book's already done. If your book's not done, we can talk about how quickly we can get your book done too. But if your book's already done, we could really, like for real, have your book see a visibility bump still by Christmas. And yeah, Christmas is like 3 days away from now. Today is the 22nd. If you're watching live. If you're watching in the middle of February, Christmas is a little ways off or you missed it, but that doesn't mean you missed the ability to start being visible today. Today is the day. We need to do it right now. Absolutely we do. And I'm proud of you for taking up the challenge and for doing the stuff. Because at the end of the day, only you can do the things that you're meant to do. Other people may do what feels exactly the same, but is totally different. If you don't show up as you, nobody else will. Authority isn't earned. Authority is something that's witnessed. Authority is when you show up where people are and the people get to see, hey, this person knows their stuff. I hope that you're having an amazing week, that you feel warm inside and out, that you feel loved deeply, and that you'll come back tomorrow when we're going to talk about the algorithm doesn't decide your success. Your visibility does. How you can defeat that mean old, wicked, evil, ugly algorithm monster and let your success be known. I hope that you'll join me again tomorrow. And until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.